What is up, everybody? It's BMax Bracketology, and I am back with another Bracketology video today. And for the rest of the month of February, I will probably just be posting once a week of the updates of Bracketology. But once the conference tournaments start going and March is soon to come, I will be posting more Bracketology videos. So here is the February 17th updated Bracketology. Not a lot of changes, just a couple slight changes this week. The one seeds all remain the same with Auburn, Alabama, Florida, and Duke. And Auburn, man, they went on the road and beat Alabama, so they might be the unanimous number one. I mean, I really don't think anybody can really push them right now. And then the other three, they're pretty solidified, but Tennessee can still make a jump to the one. And then at the 2 line, we got Houston, Texas A&M, Wisconsin, Tennessee. We got a new 2 seed, and that's Wisconsin. They go on the road and beat Purdue. Their metrics have skyrocketed. John Tonje is an absolute dog. And man, this Wisconsin team is looking scary. And then at the 3 line, we got Michigan, Purdue, Iowa State, and St. John's. Michigan had a pretty good week, beating Purdue, and then they beat Ohio State yesterday on the road. Really good win for them. Purdue, they're kind of falling off a little bit, but still at the 3 line. Iowa State, they're just playing good ball right now. And then St. John's, still at the 3 seed. I thought they would fall after losing to Villanova, but other teams lost some big games this week, and they still look pretty good. And they beat Creighton yesterday. And then at the 4 line, we got Kentucky. They didn't have Kirk Risa, they didn't have Lamont Butler or Jackson Robinson, so they had their 4th string point guard in against Texas. They still lost, but I feel like I didn't want to deduct them that much for just losing to a good Texas team on the road. And then Texas Tech, they're still playing pretty good ball. And then Michigan State joins the 4 group this week, going on the road and being a really good Illinois team, pretty solid. And then Kansas, they went on the road and lost to Utah. Kind of seemed like a trap game. I still think they're fine. Real good predictive metrics. Kept them at the 4. Then at the 5 seed, we got Marquette, Mississippi State, Missouri, and Arizona. Arizona, they're kind of falling off a little bit. Lost to Houston at home, but still, they only dropped 1 seed line. Missouri, I like this Missouri team a lot. They got 5 guys who average, I think they have 6 or 7 guys that average at least 7 points. And, Marcus Warwick averages 7, but he was a dog at Northern Kentucky last year. Tamar Bates, really good. This Missouri team is built for March, and I really like them. Then Mississippi State, they went on the road and beat Ole Miss, so they swept the Rebels this year. It was between those two on who were the 5 seed that I was going to choose, and I had to choose the Bulldogs because they proved that they're better than Ole Miss. Then Marquette, just a solid Big East team. Haven't really done a lot, but they haven't done enough to move down, so they stick here at the 5. Then at the 6 seed, we got UCLA. They're moving up. They were a 7 seed last week, but, they went on the road and beat a solid Indiana team, so that proves that. Ole Miss, just talked about them. Lost to a good Mississippi State team, but, their metrics are really good. Their metrics are more like a 5 seed, but just some of the losses they've had, it seems like they should win, but they don't. Then Louisville. This Louisville team, they lost to Georgia Tech earlier this year, but I think they're fine. They're a solid team. Brain Smith, Chucky Hepburn, Terrence Edwards, really good trio right there. Then we got Maryland. I put it on my Twitter yesterday. I apologize to all the Maryland fans for putting them at an 8 seed last week. This is a really, really solid team, and they're built. They have one of the best starting 5s in the country. This team is really good. Derek Queen, Jacoby Gillespie, Julian Reese. Man, this team is good. And at the 7 seed, we got St. Mary's. Oregon, they moved up, and then Memphis. We got to talk about the Tigers, man. Losing to Wichita State yesterday was a blow. They go down, I think I had them at a 5 or 6 last week, so they go down either 1 or 2. This Memphis team is still good. They're still fine, but they can't afford to have too many of those losses, and they might look like FAU, but I think they'll be fine. Their non-conference games really, really solidify their resume, and they'll be fine. And then Clemson, just a solid ACC team taking care of business against teams that they should. And then the 8 seed, we got Baylor, Illinois, Creighton, New Mexico. New Mexico, big win against Utah State yesterday. That kind of solidifies themselves as the main runner or the front runner in the Mountain West Conference. Creighton, not a great week, losing to UConn and then losing to St. John's. And then Illinois, shout out Terrence Shannon, I guess. They revealed his jersey retirement upside down, and then they lose, and then they blow a lead to Michigan State. But, I still think they're fine. They're a scary team to pick. I think a lot of people are going to pick them, but I don't know. Their inexperience kind of shakes on me. And then Baylor, just a solid team. Solid Big 12 team. Be who they're supposed to. Then the 9 seed Utah State, just talked about them. They could have really solidified themselves as a 7 or 8 seed with that win at New Mexico, but they barely fell short. Then Nebraska. How about the Cornhuskers, man? Won 5 of their last 6. They're playing really good basketball right now. Not in the first half against Northwestern, but they came back, and Bryce Williams sealed the deal, and he is a really good player. And he is the type of player that you want to see play in March. Then we got Gonzaga. they're really not beating anybody, but everybody else is kind of losing, so they're just flirting their way to the 9 seed. Then UConn. Losing to St. John's was just brutal. Or not St. John's, Seton Hall. But yeah, I don't know how they lost that game. They should have won it in regulation, and then they should have won it in overtime, but they still didn't. Shout out Seton Hall, I guess. And then at the 10th seed, we got San Diego State. The Aztecs, they played really good against Boise State. They look like a tournament team on Saturday night. And I moved them up to a 10. It seemed like I had them at an 11 just because their predictive metrics was down. But man, did they move up after that win, so I had to put them up at a 10. Then we got West Virginia. I mean, they've kind of fallen off a little bit, but Darren DeFries will probably get his guys into the tournament. They have some good wins, not a lot of bad losses. They'll be fine. Then we got Vanderbilt. They played Tennessee really tough on Saturday. Their prediction metrics skyrocketed after that. Nothing real with their resume, but everybody else kind of fell off, and then that's why they moved up to the 10. Then we got Ohio State. Almost beat Michigan yesterday. Real close game, but the Buckeyes are fine. Bruce Thornton, real good player. Then at the 11th seed, let's talk about the first two. We got Wake Forest. Big loss to Florida State. That was kind of brutal. But then they went on the road and beat SMU, so that kind of equals it out. And then we got the first 4 games with BYU and Texas. BYU, I thought they'd be higher, but I had to stick them out of the 11. And Texas, they just keep winning. Big win against Kentucky. They didn't have any of their point guards, but still a good win. And we got Oklahoma. Man, we need to talk about the Sooners. Having a quad 3 loss at home to LSU was just really bad. It bumped them down 2 seed lines, which was really surprising to me that they bumped that down. But man, not a good look for Porter Moser and the Sooners. And we got SMU, the Mustangs. The SMU is the weirdest team, in my opinion. They don't beat anybody good, but they don't lose to anybody bad. And it's just like their football team. You look, they are exactly like their football team. They just beat who they're supposed to, and then they don't win any big games. But this year the bubble is so weak that could get them into the tournament. And then we got Drake finishing off, losing to Bradley. Really closes the window on their at-large opportunities. But I think they'll be fine as long as they win out. If they win the MVC, they're obviously in. But if they lose that MVC championship game and still win out, that's gonna be shaky. And I don't think the committee is gonna lean to a mid-major school. They tend not to do that. So now that we're at the 11 seeds, let's go look at the 12 seeds. We got UC San Diego, really solid team between them and UC Irvine. And then you look over at the bubble, they're pretty much in the same spot. Then we got Yale. This team is on fire right now. Pulikitis, absolute dog. This team's something to look out for in March. And then George Mason, they are running the A10 right now. Them and VCU are at the top, real solid team. Then McNeese State, Will Wade, incredible job. They're at the 12th seed in the West region. Then the 13th seed, High Point. They might clinch their first NCAA tournament. And then we got Arkansas State. It's a 4-way tie. It's either a 4 or 5-way tie in the Sun Belt. I still believe in Arkansas State on what they've done, who they've beaten, so I have them in there. And then we got Akron, the hottest team in the country. This is a 13 seed you do not want to see, especially with Michigan State. And then we got the other 13 seed, Jacksonville State. They move up this week just because Samford is no longer in that 13 line, because UNC Greensboro, they're at the 14, has taken over the SoCon. They're tied with Chattanooga, but they went on the road and beat Chattanooga, so I gave them the nod there. Samford loses a game, so I'm gonna deduct them their 3rd place, but they're still overall the best team. But gotta go with the Spartans this week. Then we got Utah Valley, Lipscomb, and Montana. There's another switch. We got Montana instead of Northern Colorado. They're 1 game ahead of them in the Big Sky. Big time for the Grizzlies. They're a good team. Them and Northern Colorado are very similar. You get what you're gonna get. You're gonna get a 14 seed when you look at those two. And the 15 seeds, we got Central Connecticut, we got Cleveland State, Norfolk State, and Towson. Cleveland State lost this weekend, but they're still half a game ahead in the horizon. Then Central Connecticut, they're fine. Norfolk State and Towson. Towson's looking really good in the CAA. That's a tough conference. You got Charleston, you got UNC Wilmington. They've proven that they're really solid teams, and Towson's running the table right now. And then at the 16 lines, we got Southern, Bryant. Those 2 teams are the higher ends of the 16 seed. Really solid, not much change. Those 2 remain after last week. And then we got some changes in some of the playing games. Instead of SIU Edwardsville, we got Southeast Missouri State as they will take on American. Southeast Missouri State is 1 game ahead of everybody. I think they're 1 game ahead of SIU Edwardsville and someone else. And then we got Quinnipiac. They join out of the MAAC. And then so They took over Merrimack. Merrimack is now in third place since Marist beat them. So Marist is a half game behind Quinnipiac, and then Merrimack is 1 game behind Quinnipiac. And then we got UNO, the Omaha Mavs. They rounded out here in the Summit League. St. Thomas is technically in first place, but they're ineligible. So UNO is second, and I have them as the Summit League automatic bid right now. So now let's go to the bubble teams. We got Arkansas, VCU, Georgia, North Carolina, and Indiana. Those are the 5 teams that are within striking distance of making it. UC Irvine, Xavier, and Cincinnati are kind of a far reach, but they're right there. I don't think Xavier will make the tournament. They are too far away. They don't have enough good wins, and they don't have enough wins in their schedule. Same with UC Irvine. They just don't have enough quality wins, and they don't get the opportunity. And then Cincinnati, they have the chance to. The Big 12 is deep. If they go on a little run here, they will be fine. And then North Carolina and Indiana, those 2 teams are kind of far away. I don't know. I don't love them to make the tournament. But then Georgia. We got to talk about Georgia. This team was a solidified almost lock when you looked at them in the non-conference play in the start of the SEC, but now they're on the wrong side of the bubble, according to me. I don't like this team. Asanu was a dog, but everybody else is just, I don't know. This team's just not very fun to watch. You know, they win, but I don't know. Just don't love them. And then VCU, solid A10 school. I really hope that the committee bumps them in instead of SMU, but I'm going to guess they lean the power conference route. And then Arkansas, John Calipari loses a game to Texas A&M. They looked pretty good. I don't think the committee will leave out this Arkansas team, but since it's mine, I'm just going to lean it out. But once we get into the future, I will be doing like what I think the committee will do, not just me. So this is what I think it's going to be, but once we get closer to March, I'll do what the committee will do, and I think they'll definitely put Arkansas in. And that kind of wraps it up. Just like a little podcast session of the bracket that I have. Make sure you hit the like button, subscribe to the channel, hit the notification bell so you get all the notifications. Go follow my Twitter. I'll put it in the link in the description so you get caught up on all of the stuff on college basketball right now. And then after that, I'll be tweeting college baseball and all that. So that's all I got for you guys today. BMax Bracketology out. God bless everyone.